guys, today I'm going to do something different and I'm going to be binding my own inserts. So if you saw one of my previous videos about my haul from Japan, you would know that I got a couple of these loose sheets of paper. So I got the Aroful, I got some Tomoe River paper, and I got some Kukuyo Zara paper as well. So I'm going to try it out with this Aroful paper first, and I'm going to use these also as a nice cover for the inserts. So this is really perfect for me because I primarily use a 6 size paper, a 6 size notebooks, and I wanted to make some inserts for my traveler's notebook so I can have something small that I could either take notes in or use for like different things alongside my everyday journal. So that's what I'm gonna do now. So I'll show you how I do it. I am by no means a professional. I think this is the first time that I'm really doing it. I think I've done something kind of similar years and years ago one time, and it turned out not beautiful. So we'll see how this turns out today. So what I have here is just some of this paper, and I'll try it with one first. I'm going to do 6 sheets, and then I'll choose a cover material. So I think for today, I'll choose this one. And so as you can see, this is a 4 size, so I'll have to cut this in half twice. Or I'll have to cut this in half to get my desired length. Oh, this is not coming off well. So this is also what I showed in my Japan stationery haul. So I'll take out one of these sheets. Okay. So this is what I'll need for one notebook, or one insert. And then I have these embroidery needles, this little push pin, and some thread. So as you can see, I don't have like that many materials because, you know, I'm just a regular gal trying to attempt this at home. So this is, I feel like, the basic things you'll need. You also need like some scissors or a knife or something to fold the paper. We'll see how this goes. I'll mostly probably just fold it by myself, or I'll use the rounded edge of the knife to help me push things down. So let's get started. I'm first just going to fold everything in half. And make sure you don't put lotion on before you do this, because then if you're a fountain pen user, you know the ink, if you put any oils or lotions, things like that, on your hands and you touch the paper, the ink doesn't really lay on the paper well. So make sure you wash your hands before this. Since I'm folding all of these individually, I don't really think you need a bone folder or anything like that. But if you are, you can absolutely just fold them all together, and then having a stiffer material to help you fold them would be beneficial. Okay, so I have all of these folded. Now I will fold this and cut it. So this is a little harder to fold really tightly because there are fibers, but now I'm just going to cut it with this knife. Obviously use scissors if that's easier for you. I actually prefer this. I think it's easier to get a really nice cut. And I don't really mind the a little bit rougher edges. So now I have these 2 perfect A5 sizes. I'll go with this side for this cover. So I'll just clean up some of those little fibers in a second, and I'll just fold this over just like all of the other A5 papers. Okay, perfect. So now we can go ahead and just assemble the notebook. So now you can measure out the holes that you want to punch, and you can kind of determine yourself how many stitches you want to do. So I'm going to be doing a 5-hole pamphlet stitch, and I'll link below a really comprehensive video of someone who's an actual professional bookbinder kind of teaching you to do this. But you can kind of watch me as I go through my journey of trying this out. So I don't even have a ruler. I'm honestly just going to eyeball this. So I kind of just like marked out a little bit of where I think the hole should go, and honestly I think that looks pretty perfect. So I'm just gonna go ahead and punch the holes with a little push pin. Oh, a clip would also probably be smart. I'm gonna go grab one really quickly. So I forgot, but something that would really help out and make sure the pages don't move around while you're doing this is just some clips. I'll probably just use some of these paper clips to keep it in place. And I think that will be perfectly suitable. So I'll just move the rest aside and then proceed in punching these holes. As long as it goes through all the pages, then it's perfectly fine. All right. My nails kind of digged into the page a little bit, but I don't really mind. And it's just the first time I'm trying this out. So I have these embroidery needles that I actually also got in Japan, and I'll just choose one of these. I'll just go with this one. And then, so you are supposed to use kind of the length of 3 of your notebook. So kind of have that length right here. And what I'm gonna do, since I'm using regular thread, it's a little bit thinner than the wax thread that is primarily used, I believe. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to double this up. Is that really necessary? I'm not sure, but we're gonna try that out and see how it looks, and I can always change it later on. So I'm just gonna pull that through and double that up. So let me just double check to see that that's 3 times the length. And I think that's perfect. So I'll cut that off with this knife. Actually, I will just tie a knot. So you'll see that she doesn't tie any knots or anything like that. She just lets them go through and then ties a knot at the end. But since I'm using 2 strands, I want them to stay, you know, perfectly in line with each other. So I'm just gonna tie a knot at the end. Okay, let's get started. So let's see, you go in through the middle hole. And leave a tail, since we'll be tying that off at the end. Go through hole 2 from the back. So if you're familiar with sewing, then this shouldn't be too difficult. It's basically just like sewing a sewing paper instead of fabric. So the middle hole, then to hole 2, then to hole 1. So you basically just work your way down. It's really just like sewing. Hopefully you can see that. And then from the back into hole 2. And you skip to hole 3. I didn't punch that hole very well. It's like a little bit on top. As you can see, maybe doing 2 threads wasn't the best idea, because some of that got twisted up a little bit, but that's okay. Then I'm guessing you just go back into this last hole. Let's see. I guessed correctly. So then you go back to hole 4, I believe. As you can see, some of the threads getting a little caught with each other. So I'd probably just try to use a thicker embroidery thread or something else. So you see it keeps getting, one of the threads keeps getting caught. So yeah, but it's not that difficult to just go back and pull it through. And then that last one, we just go back through that middle hole. Everything's looking pretty good. And then we can just tie that off. This is the most difficult part with my long nails. All right. At least I have this needle to help me. Perfect. And then we can just cut off the excess thread. Oops, I think I just caught off the knot. And that is why maybe you should use scissors. Okay, well, I'm just gonna start over. Let's go through the middle hole and work your way down. So go back through this second closest hole into this one, that first hole, through this one, second hole, and then skip the middle hole and go to this fourth hole. And then back through that fifth hole, or not back through, just through the fifth hole, back through the fourth hole, and then into this middle hole, and then you're done. It's honestly quite simple. So I'm just gonna kind of tighten it a little bit, and then make a knot. I should have left a little bit more thread here. As I said, I think tying the knot is the hardest part, especially with my long nails. All right, there we go. And we're all done. I brought some scissors this time, so I don't cut off the knot again. All right, there we go. Let's see how it looks on the outside. I think that's looking pretty good. Kind of like how the stitching's a dark navy that I chose. I think it looks quite nice. And then I'll just trim off a little bit of these extra fibers. Honestly, I think that looks pretty good. And so this has 12 pages since I only did 6. And I honestly think I can get away with doing a little bit more. This is quite thin, so I think I'm gonna try to do maybe 10, and let's see how that goes. So I'll try it again, and I'll do it with a different cover this time. So I'll pull out some more of these pages, and you'll see me repeating the process. All right, here's some pages. And here is, oh good, this one didn't get, oh, I spoke too soon. Did get ripped a little bit, but that's fine. All right. Both of these papers are just so gorgeous. I'm so excited to start using them. And since, you know, since this is going pretty well, maybe I'll try to actually bind my own notebook with these inserts, because basically a notebook is just all of these inserts kind of bound together. So I'm gonna try that and see how it goes. I'm just gonna go ahead and repeat the process for all of these because you've seen it already, and then I'll come back when that's done. So I folded all of these pages, and I actually pulled out 10 perfectly, so I'm pretty impressed with myself. And then I folded this, so I'll just cut this. And also this paper is, I think it's gonna be a lot easier to deal with because there's not as many fibers. So let's see. I think this is gonna work really nicely. So then I'll fold it again, just as I did with the other one. As before, I'm just gonna insert all of these pages. You can see with like the thicker inserts, or the more paper you use per insert, the paper starts to like jut out a little bit because obviously they're all layered up, right? So you can see with the previous one I made, there's not as much, but there still is a little bit on the outside of this cover, but I really don't mind that at all. And for this one as well, I think it's perfectly fine. I'm just going to leave it as is and not worry about it too much. What I am worried about though is this push pin was already a little difficult to maneuver and go through, even with that last one. So I think I'm a little worried with this one about how easily it'll go through. So I'm going to try that. But I do like the thickness of this insert a little bit more because, you know, with this few pages, I feel like I'll just run through it so quickly. So I'm going to just go ahead and give it a try. Once again, I'm just gonna eyeball it. I'm not too much of a stickler about that. And I think it worked out pretty well. You can tell me if you agree. Put those in, make sure it's all perfectly lined up. And I think that looks pretty good. So I'm just kind of gonna eyeball it and make 5 holes. So once again, I'll just start in the middle. All right, and then I'll actually just go push them through this time. So this time I also wanna be a little bit more careful and make sure that I actually push it through the middle of the backmost page. And I think that worked out pretty well. So I'll just go ahead and do that with the others as well. So if you have something soft to actually push this into, or if you have one of those machines that's kind of made specifically, not a machine, just those contraptions that are made specifically for punching holes for like binding paper and inserts and the such, that would probably definitely work better. But since I don't, and I'm not really willing to go purchase one, I'm just going to do this. But it is, you know, significantly harder. I think that's good enough. As long as I'm reaching the last hole, then I'm okay with that. It doesn't have to go all the way through. And I think I did them all closer to the actual middle of the back this time, so that's great. And then now I'm just gonna repeat the process. Actually, because I think things are too simple and I wanna make things harder for myself, I'm actually going to just poke more holes and see, you know, if I can bind the whole thing that way. And so I'll just go ahead and make a couple of holes a little closer to the edge. Because I think it does look better when it's bound a little bit tighter. So I'm just gonna go ahead and try that. And then I think I'll just go ahead and poke holes in the middle of all of these and see how that turns out. Is it a little too ambitious? Maybe, but let's see how that goes. And for this one, I think I did just decide to stay with doubling up the thread. I'm not sure, because like I feel like when I double it up, it's not as tight, but maybe that will change when, since I'm doing a little bit closer holes. So I'll just go ahead, give myself some extra thread, because since I'm going to be doing this, since I'm going to be doing more holes, I probably also need more thread. And then I'll do the same exact thing as with the 5 pamphlet method, and I will, where even is the middle now? I think this is the middle. This is meant to be the middle hole. So I'll do the same thing, and I'll just work my way down. And you guys can kind of follow along as I just experiment with this. So just the same exact thing. So back and forth, basically. Go to this second hole. And I'll hold this down so that it's not too short again like last time. As you can see, once again, the thread is kind of catching a little bit, which I don't like, but we'll see if maybe it corrects itself a little bit as I go on. I'm just gonna keep pulling at this thread because I don't want it to get too short again. Made it to the last hole. It's actually not taking me very long to do this. Maybe I'll show some real time so that you guys can see how it is. It's a little bit difficult to get through some of these holes though, so maybe I should have, you know what? I'm just gonna poke this one a little bit more. You can see me struggle as I try to do this with long nails. But if I can do it with long nails, you can probably do it too. So I guess that's encouraging, hopefully. And then I'll do the same thing as last time. So I'll just go back through all of these holes. And now that, you know, the thread has been worked through some of these holes, it is staying a little better now, as you can see. It's a little bit more taut and together, so that's encouraging. We'll go through this one and then we'll skip the middle just like last time. And we'll go on to this next hole. And then work our way up. Wow, we're already on the last hole. And I would just say make sure to pull everything taut so it stays very tight, so that the stitches look good in the back. I think that's the main struggle that I'm having, if there is one. Okay, and then we're at the final hole. That's so exciting. So I'm gonna make sure to pull that taut, and then I'm gonna pull this little tail here taut too. And then just do a little check. I think that looks fantastic. I definitely do think it looks a lot better like this. So I'm just gonna tie a knot. And I actually can tie a knot now since I left a longer thread. I'm gonna cut this off so it's easier to tie. I'm just gonna tie a double knot one more time. But also I think with more holes, you're also less likely to have any of the threads slip loose. So that's also a good thing. All right, and I think we're good. I think that looks pretty great. Some of the holes aren't perfectly aligned, so I think that's a little bit of an issue. And as you can see, some of the threads are a little bit looser, but I think that looks fantastic, if I do say so myself. So I'll just cut this. And then we have another insert. And doing it with 10 pages instead of 6 wasn't too much, too difficult either. You can still push the pin through. So there you have it. So you have 5 pamphlet stitch, and then you have whatever that I just came up with. So honestly, this was really encouraging to try out, because now I'm thinking I should just go ahead and try to bind a notebook. I think obviously it'll be more difficult, but I mean, that was really fun. I really enjoyed that. So yeah, I think if you would like to see me attempt to bind a notebook, then let me know. But those are my new A6 inserts. And I also wanted to do this because it's kind of difficult to find inserts that aren't in the Midori Traveler's Notebook sizes. You don't see as many A6 inserts. So I just thought it'd be so much fun and also really just perfect to make these myself. So, and it's with really nice fountain pen paper too. So I really loved this. This was really fun for me, and I hope you guys enjoyed as well. And if you'd like to see me attempt to bind my own notebook, then please let me know. Thank you so much for watching.